Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys a story about the elk that tried to escort me across the street. We had a conversation about animals for a moment today on here. So, yeah, I live in a tourist area, and these animals are fairly well used to people being around. However, you should not be approaching wildlife. I do not encourage anybody. This is a dangerous situation. And I'm lucky that I'm okay. But this is what happened though. See this elk right here? He was laying behind this building that's behind him. I had just gotten off work, and there was a group of photographers taking pictures of these elk that were on this hill right next to the street. This is during rut season, so they come down into town. But yeah, he was just laying next to the building taking a nap. Didn't seem to bother anybody. Didn't seem bothered by anybody. And there was a lot of people in that parking lot taking pictures, and that was a very convenient opportunity for me. I spent a few years doing wildlife photography. So he decided he was done with his nap, and I'm a little bit further away from the crowd here taking pictures of the elk across the street. And he walked right up to me and just started staring at me. And to be honest, with this elk staring at me like that, the thoughts going on in my head is, oh no, this is not a good situation. Like, at first I was expecting him just to kind of, like, make a decision across the street or something. But no, dude, that elk is staring straight at me and standing right next to me. So, since I already have my camera out, of course I'm going to snap a picture. But I was worried that he was going to charge or hurt me. After a while, he was just staring at me. That's all he was doing. And to get an idea of how close this elk was, I didn't have no special lenses on. You can see the detail in the horns here. Okay? He's standing right next to me like if I'm hanging out with my friends getting ice cream or something. Oh, look at him though. So cute. So cute. Look at that cute little face. So, I know that I'm in danger, and I need to get his attention off of me. And since this is a tourist area and Park Service protects these animals so they know they're safe in town, the elk like to cross the street quite a bit and obstruct traffic. And so we're right next to the street, and I figured maybe I could trick him into crossing the street or something. I gotta do something to get this elk to stop staring me down. So I walked up to the edge of the road and I looked both ways, like if I was planning to cross the street and looking at traffic. And so then he walks up a couple steps and stands next to me and joins me in checking for traffic. And then the cars let up, like there was none. And so then he starts crossing the street, and he stops for a second and clomps his hoof at me because I'm not crossing with him like he was. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm not getting hit by a car. So then he went ahead and finished crossing the street. So I had pictures from this incident, so I figured I would share. Yeah, there he is crossing the street. He got mad because I wasn't following him. I'm glad that worked. If you are in a national park area or anything, like you're in an area where there's wildlife, I see people approaching these animals way too frequently. I have had some close calls myself, just like working in an area like this, being in an area like this quite a bit. I feel blessed for the experiences that I have had getting to know these animals. However, you really should have like a several $1,000 lens on your camera if you're going to try to get pictures of something dangerous. You need to be far away from the animal. There are plenty of people that have gotten hurt getting too close to these animals trying to get pictures. So, you know, I know they're cute and all or whatever, but don't approach the wildlife, because if you look at those horns, God, how many feet? That's got to be at least like 3 feet of horns on this guy. And I have had an elk get pretty angry, upset. I scared him. This is a different elk, not this one. I was working at the hospital in the kitchen for the retirement home, and I showed up to work, and there was an elk with his head down eating apples, and he was right next to a truck, so I didn't see him, and he didn't see me. And I walked around right around the front of that truck, and I was directly in front of that elk, and it startled him, and he shook his horns at me. So I got the unfortunate opportunity of staring straight down those spikes. And I know they may look a little nubbed off in the picture here, but they are sharp. They are very sharp. They're impalement sharp. And the first thing that I could think about looking straight down at those, having them shaking at me, was riding around on them in the wrong way, if you catch what I'm saying. So, you know, these animals are dangerous. Respect them. Don't be rude. You know, you might think that it's your friend. There's a lady up here that was feeding the bears, and they eventually ended her. And she had spent years taking care of them, you know. So just be careful out there. Please do not approach the wildlife. That is the moral of the story. But yeah, this is the elk that tried to escort me across the street. I will never forget him, especially because I have pictures. The end.